Hi there, it's time to get our hands dirty, but before we get to that, I would like to bring a question to the table, which is how is Jeuxen capable of reaching a USSD application regardless the stack or technology used to write the application? So the answer to this question is that Jeuxen does not talk to your USSD application. Internally, Jeuxen talks to a USSD channel. This channel is the infrastructure level responsible for reaching your USSD application. So the basic idea here, the idea we had, is that we could have, for example, a USSD channel. We could have a HTTP channel, we could have a socket channel, we could have any kind of channel. But the point is, it's just the infrastructure level. We wanted it to be as simple as implementing a contract, plugging it in, and connect to whatever USSD application that supports that infrastructure. So this Jeuxen version we are running now only has one USSD channel implementation, which is HTTP channel. So right now, the only way to have your Jeuxen installation talking to your USSD application is using an HTTP channel. So this basically means that Jeuxen will be firing HTTP requests to an HTTP server that is running your USSD application. So I'd like to show you two HTTP servers of mine that are running two different USSD applications. So I've got this server running on the 88 port, which is this one, and it returns this XML response. This response is actually in a format Jeuxen can read and understand. I also got this web server on this port that is returning a JSON response, which is a JSON response Jeuxen can read and understand. But which part of Jeuxen reads and understands this JSON? It's the HTTP channel. That's what I told you before. The HTTP channel is the layer responsible for reaching HTTP servers, delivering USSD requests, and collecting USSD responses. This is the basic idea of how Jeuxen reaches your USSD application. I hope you get that. So let's get back to the hands-on. You'll soon understand why I've introduced this right now. So the first thing we need to do is create a test project. So how do we create a test project? Well, we first create a folder to contain our test project. So let's just create this first project. Let's enter this first project. Okay. Creating a test project is as simple as typing in this command, Jeuxen init. We just created our first test project. Now, we're going to open this project.xml Jeuxen created. Nano project.xml. Here is the content. If you pay attention, you'll see this channel tag. This channel tag tells Jeuxen which channel implementation it should use to send the USSD request. Which channel it should use to get USSD responses. And down here, we got some configuration. This is the URI to which Jeuxen will be firing requests. It will be firing requests to this URI using this proxy configurations, and it will be expecting a JSON response. Well, I just showed you an example of a Jeuxen response that Jeuxen can understand. This is an example of a JSON response that Jeuxen can understand. So it will be trying to reach my server using this proxy, which is perfectly running, and we will be using it to intercept the requests and make sure the requests are happening. So this is the content of project.xml. So let's just start the Jeuxen IDE because we want to be able to interact with a mobile emulator. So we just type in Jeuxen start. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. This is it. We just copy this and paste it. Here we go. Welcome to Jeuxen IDE. So this IDE instance is running for this project. You can have multiple IDE instances running, each running for a different project. So let's just type in some USSD code. Let's set some MSISDN and let's dial service under maintenance until 24 May. Well, this is the response that our USSD application just returned to Jeuxen. You see, there is no magic here. This Jeuxen mobile emulator is issuing an HTTP request to my HTTP server, which is running my USSD application. This particular HTTP server is sending USSD responses in JSON format. We could change it. We could set up a project to be reaching a different server responding in a different format, in XML, for example. So this server returns a maintenance message and nothing else. Let's just close this IDE instance and create a different project that fetches responses in XML from a different server, which is this one, 8080. So let's just go back and create a new second project. Go to second project. Okay, let's initialize this project, Jeuxen init. Okay, now let's just Jeuxen start. We just started the server. We didn't change the project XML. So if we want Jeuxen to be contacting this server instead of this, we should change the XML, the project XML, which is the project configuration file, and tell it to come and fetch responses here in XML format. So let's just open this project XML and say, hey Jeuxen, we want you to go to 8080 and get an XML response. That's it. Let me check again. Yes, it's XML. Now let's just Jeuxen start. Let's see. This is the URI. Just copy it and dump it. This is it. Let's type in cell number and 6662 or whatever we want and dial. Service and maintenance until November. So this time it actually went to this server on the 8080 port. Let's use this proxy server of mine to detect these requests that are being issued by Jeuxen. So let's just put it right here so that it can be easier for us. Let's hit the dial button again, and this is it. Let's focus on this. These requests. These are the contents of our HTTP request: MSISDN, the input, which is the USSD code, and the session ID. This is the XML response. So Jeuxen is actually going to this server and is fetching this response. So I think it's simple enough. We could change this and put some 8080. I mean 8080 23, and let's see if we get another request here. Let's just hit this. Boom, we got this, and we got this 8080 and the USSD session. So how would you integrate Jeuxen with your USSD application? Well, you just gotta configure your project to send HTTP requests to your USSD application, and that's all. You will be receiving a post request, because I didn't tell you before, but Jeuxen, this HTTP channel, is actually sending a post request, which with these parameters you can see here. Okay, Jeuxen is not only about this mobile emulator. I mean, let's stick to the emulator. What about this record option here? What is it supposed to do? Well, it's supposed to record your interaction with this mobile emulator and then generate test code for you. Let's test this. Service and maintenance, okay. So it's a simple test it generated because we only had one interaction with an emulator. So let's just say maintenance test. Save test. Let's go to the code console and let's open this test. See, here we got our test. So running this test won't change a thing. Let's just change the test code. I mean, this is not complicated. I don't know if you find it complicated, but I think it's pretty simple. We create the USSD session and then we set this parameter, which is the MSISDN. This is my phone number, and then we create the initial request with this USSD code, and then we send this request. We get the response, and then we make sure this response is a success. We make sure this response is a form, because it's a message, because it could be a form. And we also make sure this response is a text input. Okay, good. This is what, let's check this response. And right now, we get this assert content equals. We check the content of our USSD response, which means if we change this content and then we save the changes and run the tests, the test will fail. It will say it won't pass because this is not the content that Jeuxen is getting from the USSD response. You see, this is why we invented Jeuxen, because we wanted to be able to do this. You see, you change the content and then you find out something is wrong. Okay, you just gotta go back there and find out what's up. But there is a problem here. This shouldn't be here because this is not a form. This is a message. Only if it was a form, it would make sense to have this is text input thing here. But this is certainly something we can fix within a few minutes. You shouldn't worry about it. This is just a developer preview edition. So this is it. This is a small test example. So you just save it, you run it, you could print stuff here like this, like print hello world, save, just inspect your browser, see the console and run hello world. This just got printed right here. So this is our maintenance. Oh, I think committed a mistake right there, but it's okay. This is the Jeuxen IDE. So how do we run these tests? I mean, we could have a lot more tests. How are we supposed to run these tests from the command line? Well, that's easy. You just need to hit Jeuxen test. This is it. All tests pasted. Just one test. The only one that passed. So this is it. I will be recording another video and we will be exploring more of Jeuxen, of this developer preview edition. So let's just stop.